Welcome to Quills and Chills. I'm your host, Rick Clifton, and I'm going to introduce you to the creators who give fear its voice. Together, we'll explore the strange, the unsettling, and the unforgettable. So go ahead and dim those lights because that conversation starts now.
Would you mind sending that gentleman over there a martini? No, not that one. No, just another one. Another martini.
Geronimo's capture. Did you let our hosts know?
Do they know that we have issues with the resistance? Of course they do. Have we told them anything specific about Geronimo? No. The Governor General wants to wait and see where this is all going first. So, my question to you, Alan, is will Geronimo roll over on the other terrorists or not?
What was she doing? Asking for the Queen's advice? What lies to tell? I'll bet that there's enough secrets in that pretty head of yours to bury an empire. Mother's little helpers.
Mother seems to believe that you and I shouldn't trust each other. She knows something I don't.
She thinks you're gonna get me killed.
You boys are running out of time. I'm gonna bury these assholes.
Hello and welcome back to Quills and Chills. I'm your host, Rick Clifton, and today we're diving into a very twisty, very reality-bending debut from someone you may remember from one of our previous conversations, but if not, you definitely know her from on screen, and she's just as captivating on the page. Ali Walker's The Light Runner pulls us into a psychiatric hospital where grief, murder, and some blurred realities, well, they all collide to force both the characters in the story and us as readers to question exactly what's true and exactly what's not. It's part murder mystery, it's part psychological thriller, it's part sci-fi. It's entirely impossible to put down, so let's get into it. Welcome back, Ali.
Thank you so much for having me. It's good to see you.
Oh, you too. I'm so glad to have you back, so I definitely appreciate your time today.
Nice to be here.
Before we dive into the book, let's kind of take a little bit of a trip back. Let's start sort of back in the beginning. Most of our audience is going to know you from acting and from filmmaking. They're going to know you from being here when we talked about Far More. But now you've written a novel, and I'd love to know how your background helped you to approach storytelling on the page.
Well, I've been acting, like literally 30 some years. I was acting for a really long time. And I think when you commit your life to kind of telling stories, whatever, facet that you're in, whether it's acting, writing, journalism, whatever, be a poet, whatever, you're a storyteller. So I think you're just different mediums for telling stories. And I could write scripts. I wrote screenplays. I was a screenplay doctor. And I found it really fun. I'd always wanted to be a writer, but I kind of just never did it. And then when I started working, I started writing and fixing things. And and then I had pitched. I had written this originally. The first, I guess, I don't know, 130 pages of it. I pitched out there as a pilot to a limited series, and nobody was interested. Well, I won't say they weren't interested. They didn't pick it up. So what I did is I just decided, well, I love to read. I love books. So I thought, well, I've never done that. I wonder if I could do that. And so 10 years later, I picked up, my laptop and sat down and started turning it into a book. Or 8 years later. Yeah.
I love it. Like I said, it was really hard for me to put down. I got it when it first came out, and I think I read it and I devoured it in like 2 or 3 days. So
Oh, that's so cool. Thank you so much. I'm glad you liked it.
I hope you like. And I loved it. But if you could see the stack of books that I have for this show, that is no small feat in itself. So
It's amazing that you're able to read so much. It's hard for me to like get into a book, but then when I'm in it, it's hard for me to leave it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly the same. So
Yeah.
I will say I've taught myself to speed read a little bit. So I think that's
really?
by just from experience and just doing it so much. So
Right.
it would take me 3 weeks to probably finish a 300-page book before. Now I can do it in like 2 or 3 days. So I don't know if that's speed reading or what it is.
Pretty good, buddy.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. It takes me a month.
So let's start with the most obligatory question first. What is this book about? What is The Light Runner about?
On the face of it, it's a psychological and a murder mystery. I mean, it's a thriller. That's what I like to do when I act. I love profile. I love sons. All those things. And that's what I like to write. I like to have things pretty twisted and red herrings and doing things that you don't expect. On top of that, I think there's a lot of deeper meaning in this because it was sort of the things that the themes that I was working through with death and what is life about. I was a scientist before I was an actress, albeit very briefly. And my father was a physicist, and so I've always kind of looked at the concepts of what is consciousness and what is reality and what is energy, and everything kind of boils down to energy. So this book ultimately is a thriller, a murder mystery, but it hides or it puts forth some deeper meaning, which is basically that our society is losing its ability to be empathetic and compassionate with one another, and that is the beginning of the downfall of the human race, because we no longer seem to care for one another. And so it's kind of tackling that as a larger theme, and also, death, and how death is not really being gone. You're just on a different frequency, basically. Um, and about your gut feelings. It's about gut feelings and knowing things because time is not really linear. It's really amazing. I wrote all that stuff in 2015, and now it's all being talked about. And I mean, I'm not saying, I'm prescient or anything, but it's pretty prescient. I mean, the gurus and the mystics of old have always talked about that. So, but it's kind of fascinating how quantum mechanics is changing things now and how people are looking at things so differently. And that's kind of where the book resides, in that kind of question. What is life? What is your gut feelings? Why is it that you know things you don't know how you know? Why are you here? What's your purpose? And can you love? Can you be empathetic? Can you give to others? It's all that.
I love that in a way that love the way that you tackled it. You posed some questions, and I'm gonna be a little guarded because I don't want to talk spoilers, and I'm afraid I'm gonna blurt something out. But
Okay.
I can edit it out if I do. But you do some things with some of these characters that really sort of set my brain off into oh my god, what if that is actually not what we think it is, and it is something, it just posed all of these like really deep questions for me about, we don't really know when people are going through certain, sort of, what we might classify as mental illness and things like that,
Yeah.
where that's coming from. So there was a lot of interesting.
Well, yeah, I pose that, mental illness, that these, tics and illnesses that people have are really their superpowers, that they're
Yep.
just privy to information you aren't. And, I have a couple of friends that are, more than a couple, well, two that are deeply psychic and deeply hooked up to something I can't really explain. And when they say things, I listen because it's like, oh, okay. I mean, I pay homage to one of them in the book. Marty is a real friend of mine. And she's an older woman, but she is just plugged in and in a way that I don't, and you know, most people would be like, "Oh, bullshit. That's crazy. Oh, what?" But no, that's just kind of her superpower.
No, I agree. And I've got a couple of things I want to sort of pull out and talk about, but first I want to talk about these characters because I mean, I love main characters, but come on, I could talk all day about secondary characters and third tier characters, and you've got some really great ones in this book.
Oh,
So
thank you. Yeah, they became my best friends. I actually miss them. I'm like, write another one with them because I'm like, I miss them.
yeah, they're a lot of fun. Let's talk about your main character, Dr. Ella Kramer,
Uh-huh.
a little bit, as much as we can. Again, a bit, I know the book is out, but I'm just trying to be as spoiler free as we can. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So Ella is the main character basically, and she is innocence, walking through this. She is a person who has been through a lot of hardship, but has a deeper understanding than most people realize. And she's constantly denying her gut feelings and constantly working sort of against them because she doesn't want to experience the pain in her life. And during, as the story progresses, she very much experiences the pain in her life and basically, comes to find herself. I mean, that's what the circle for Ella is. She finds out who she is and her purpose in life. So she's very innocent in the beginning of this journey. And she sets herself on a course to know who she is. And
Yes, she
in
does.
yeah. And in doing so, it's really interesting. I always remember someone, it's in the Gospels or something, and it's Jesus said something to the effect of, if you bring forth that which is within you, that which is within you will set you free. But if you hold back, if you suppress basically that which is within you will destroy you. And it's really about really acceptance of who you are and being who you are. And I think that's just a universal message for everybody. But Ella really embodied it for me in this book.
Yeah, it's great. And I love the other ones too. Detective, I don't want to slaughter his name. Moran, I assume, right?
Moran.
Captain Haskell, all of those. I'm kind of curious, were any of these, I know you talked about Marty, but were any of these other characters based on people in your life, or do they hold characteristics of people that you know?
I think Moran is a little bit of my father is there, and I think, I had always as a child, I had all my guys are leaving, so I love kissing away. Bye, sorry. Anyway, um, uh, as a kid, blessed be boredom. We grew up and we had a place in the my grandparents had a little place in the country where we rode horses and waited, and that's where Skeeter was, my horse, and everything, and the pond up top, but we were so bored, and we didn't have TVs there, and there were no cell phones or computers then. This is a million years ago. But we read constantly. And I read a lot of Agatha Christie when I was literally like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I loved Agatha Christie. I guess I started with the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew and all that, which I didn't really like that much, but it was okay when I was young. But I still to this day think Agatha Christie is a genius. And so I always loved Monsieur Poirot. And Detective Moran is sort of me tipping my hat to Monsieur Poirot.
Oh, I
You know?
totally see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
1000%. Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Um, just for fun, if you had to boil down each of your main characters there into 3 words, what would you choose for Ella? And like into 1 word per character, what would you choose for Ella?
One word?
Yep, 1 word.
Innocent.
Captain Haskell.
I don't want to give anything away. Cool.
There you go. I like that one. Detective Moran, I think you just did, but you can use 2 words for him if you want.
Deeply intelligent.
There you go. So one of the things I think that really stood out to me is how much ground this book actually covers around not like mental illness, but metaphysics, but also even art history to a degree and parts of that. And I'm just, as I was reading it, I was like, I just always think about the research that goes into stories sometimes, and I'm just curious, like, what was your research when you were going into this stuff? Because there's a really great moment when you're again, spoiler. I'm trying to avoid a spoiler here.
Okay.
When you're talking about a certain, I guess, a villain or whatever that's sort of coming forth, and you sort of explain how that villain's name came to be, and
Oh
it,
yeah.
it really kind of dives into art history a little bit and all of that. And I'm like, oh my god, like to know, like I'm more of a cinephile than I am an art history major, but I'm just like, God, that's so interesting just to know that fact. So I want to know about the research a little.
Well, there wasn't much research. I mean, these are things, it's really interesting because I don't really talk about things very. I'm sort of a dilettante. I just know little things about everything in a weird way because I just read everything. I mean, I don't know if that's the right word, but I tend to really be fascinated by things and like I love to paint. I'm starting to paint seriously now. I want to take classes and really do it, but I've always loved the masters and reading about them. And there was this movement, and it was all about saying, that the paintings were, skulls with gold chains and diamonds and everything. And the meaning behind it was that you couldn't take earthly goods with you when you you died. It was really, sort of a morality pieces is what they were. Um, and so I found that kind of fascinating. So I threw it in. I just threw everything in. I was like, my best friend, his name was Rick Cowan, and we used to write together when I was in my early 30s. We had a really deep friendship. And he got me into writing, or he helped me with writing. We'd partner up on writing. And he'd always say, no, just write what you know. Write what you know. So I just kind of like looked in my, like opened my closet and went, well, I know about that. I could do that, and I just kind of threw things in that seemingly had no connection, but they do.
Well, you weaved it together in such a great way, so, I say kudos to that. Like I
Oh,
said,
thank you.
it really jumped out to me, and
Oh,
I
that's
really
cool. Thank you. I'm glad people appreciate these little things, because it's cool.
yeah, when I come across those things, I always make a little note. I'm like, I wanna mention it because, when you don't spend a lot of time on it, but you mention it and it triggers something in my brain, I'm like, I want to honor that
Oh, that's very
by
cool. Oh, I'm glad you noticed that. Not many people have said anything, but that's cool.
fascinating.
I thought it was good.
It brings me to a part 2 to that question, I guess, and it could be fun, I guess, but research rabbit holes. I feel like every writer I've ever talked to has always had one sort of rabbit hole that they've kinda gone down when researching or doing anything. Was there a fun fact or a theory or an idea that you found and thought, "This has to make it into that," like, absolutely have to figure out how to write this into the story?
Well, the whole idea of being in a hologram and learning about black holes and looking at the similarities and being, how the information was stored on the event horizon of a black hole, how the information, a picture of a wave confronting another waveform, those things were, those are above my pay grade. And I had to really kind of read stuff, make stuff up that sounded plausible and just sit there with, I mean, there's holes everywhere, obviously. If you had a physicist, he'd be like, "This is a joke." But maybe not, because I just sort of made things up. I mean, the particle, the particle is the soul. I wrote this one thing and it was like, "Oh yeah, it is kind of true." And the wave properties, because light is pretty fascinating. Um I just started to really open my mind up to things in the physical and non-physical kind of world that I tried to I don't even remember the question, but I went down that rabbit hole of making meaning out of that event horizon, making meaning out of the hologram, and that your destiny is there because we are in a hologram, and it's if you take a piece of it, you'll see the whole, that it won't change. It's just how you get there, So those kind of theories, I remember sitting on the couch just thinking about that stuff for days and days, you know?
I love it.
And it was really,
I would do the
kind of
same.
nutty. Yeah.
I would do the same, and I found myself doing the same too. I would the book would kinda drift down, and I would just kinda start thinking about trying to visualize what that would look like, and so
Oh, that's so cool. No, I
I'm
think, other people have told me that too. Like, I've always felt that way, but I didn't really ever see anyone put it into words. And it's like, I think all of us, kind of know things and kind of feel things and, wonder if this makes sense or not, or why we're gravitating towards a certain theory or not. But yeah, I think it's fun stuff to contemplate. Sometimes you just gotta sit back and contemplate your belly button, man. You never know what'll come.
exactly. On the lighter side of the craft side, are there any rituals or things that you use when you're writing? I know for me, when I'm writing, I like there's certain types of music that I like, and then when I'm reading, sometimes I'll do music if I'm in a noisy place. I'll do like classical music or something like that, just to kind of block out
Yeah,
the noise.
I did that. I did classical music sometimes when I was really having trouble. If I was like, if there were people in the house, I can't really write with people around, so I just kind of wait, or I went in my car and just would type and just be. The cars are great, I meditate in the car. I do a lot in the car because I'm in LA, and I just sit there all by myself in my cubicle, and I'm like, this is great, you know. I don't really have rituals. I just kind of go, it's time to write, and I just sit down and I write, and I just don't stop. I tend to overwrite, And so it's kinda good in a way because I know the first, couple pages are gonna be nothing I keep, but it doesn't matter because it got me going.
Yeah, that was something I remember from college. A creative professor of mine broke me out of the writer's block, and she's like, "Just start writing. Don't worry about structure. Don't worry about
Oh,
grammar. Don't
yeah.
worry about it. Just write. Just any damn word. Just write."
Yep,
And a couple
yep.
pages in, and then it just starts.
You start to yeah, exactly, and I just kinda I got that after starting it for a while, but it just, I almost feel like it's a form of meditation, or I almost felt like I was channeling, because half the time I was like, "How the hell did I come up with that?" I'd be like, "What the hell's wrong with me?" Like, "That's nuts." Wow.
So beyond all the twists and all of that, I think at the for me, the core of this book is about sort of grief and healing and come to terms with that. And I think you talked a little bit about this in the beginning, but I was wondering if is there a personal thread or feeling that you wanted to work through in putting together this story? Or was it just about sort of tapping into those feelings to in order to relate them to the character?
Um, I think when I did far more my film, I worked through the death of my best friend and my dad and my sister-in-law, who I was pretty close to. Um, I think in this, the character of Aunt Moira is really my Aunt Nita. And my Aunt Nita was a remarkable woman. And I'm gonna cry. She really was a mentor. And she wanted to be a writer. She was a great writer, but she never put anything out there. She went to Stanford. She was one of, in the 50s, which was unheard of for women. And she was just this, my brother and sister used to go to our grandparents a lot, but I was always sent to be with my Aunt Nita. And she was really special. And I just wanted to pay homage to her life because she got Alzheimer's and died. And it just made me really all these wonderful people who quietly go away, who've lived something that is extraordinary, that is valuable, and who aren't mentioned and who aren't seen. So I did this, I pay homage to my Aunt Nita in this, really. But then to my mother and her other sister, Aunt Babe, we called her. Because she was a pretty strong, wonderful woman too. And I find there are so many strong women, in the past that didn't really get their due, and I think mothers around the world don't get their due in a really weird way. I guess everybody feels they don't get their due, but, you know, this book for me was, me tipping my hat to my Aunt Nita.
Well, cheers to Aunt Nita. I'd say you
Yeah.
brought her back and memorialized her in a wonderful way. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah,
Yeah, she was great.
Moira is one of those great sort of secondary characters I was telling you about that I really loved. So um,
Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
um, so I think I know the answer to this question. I think I may have seen it in some of the marketing materials as well. But I'm just going to go ahead and ask. Uh, do you see this as a standalone novel, or are there any more stories that you're planning to tell? And like I said, you certainly set it up a certain way at the end, so I'm gonna leave it to you.
Yes, I think, it's called the Realities series, and I think there are going to be 3 of them if I can ever, get off my tuchus. Um, I have the 2nd one kind of ready. I started writing, then I backtracked, so I was like, "No, that's not it." And so I just it is that thing, and I did this with acting too, I'd be like, "I'm gonna sit on the couch and daydream for a while," and if I sit on the couch and daydream for long enough, it'll need to come out of me, and that's kinda what I'm doing, with the 2nd one now because 'cause it's been a lot getting the book out. I didn't realize how much work I do it. I'm so tired. I'm getting old here, and I just was like, I gotta get clear of this for a while, and, uh and then when I write, I'm pretty fast, I'll do maybe 7 pages a day, and I'll just
Oh
crank it
wow,
out,
that's great.
Well, usually it's like 5, but at my best, I'm doing 7 pages a day because I just can't stop, and, it's really fun, isn't it?
The
To get
the
that
creative part is always fun. I will tell you,
Yeah.
you had just said like you're just finishing up, sort of getting this book out, and you're it's been a lot. I equate it to, I remember when I first did my very first theatrical stage play, produced, directed the whole thing, and
Oh my
all the
god.
way through it, all the way through it, I'm cursing every time my mouth is open. There's curse words falling out. I'm never doing this again. Never doing this again. This is stupid. I can't believe I'm doing
I
it.
hate it.
And then the moment the curtain goes down and the end of it, you're like, let's do it again. So we're glutton for punishment, I think.
I know. I know. Well, it's just it's like having babies, right? You go through delivery and you're like, man, I am not. No, I'm
Mhm.
flying the tubes. No way. And then you're like, I want another baby. It's just like, are you nuts?
Well, I hope you do, and I'll just go ahead and say it right here, right now. If you do, you have an open invitation to come back and talk to me about it anytime you
Oh,
want.
it's
So
such a pleasure. Thank
I
you so
I
much.
love the series. I love the characters. I love the book. Before we wrap up, without spoiling anything, I do have a question I love to ask. It's my favorite question, but you got to let me answer first. So, my question is, do you have a favorite scene or moment in The Light Runner that you loved or that you're excited for readers to experience for the first time? But before you do that, I have to answer. And I have quite a few, but I'm going to go with one that really kind of locked me in. And it's what I was talking about earlier. And it's that moment when Ella was talking to Malachi
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna be I hope you'll get it, I'm sure, but I'm gonna be
Yeah.
spoiler free. He reframes another patient's Tourette's as something much more intricate and much more elevated, and it really was the moment I had set the book down, I threw the glasses off, I was like, God damn. It was so great. It was such a
Oh,
like,
that's so
it was just
cool.
such a moment that I was just like, okay, I love this. And it really, having family members who have mental illness, in particular, I have a sister, and sort of like reframing it this way, like you said, it's like she has a superpower, in a lot of ways.
Well, this is, that really touches me because I had an uncle who spent his life in institutions, and I had an aunt who was, I'd never met either one of them, but who was bipolar and was given electroshock all the time. And so I wrote this for them too, because
Love that.
there's a lot of my family. It's Millie and Dan are, very dear to my heart because of that. They embody those two people in my life, and you wonder the kind of cruelties flung their way in life just for being different.
Mhm.
So I really empathize with you and with your sister, and God bless you. You know, some of the smartest people I've met have had uh, what we would consider serious mental illness, serious mental illness.
Well,
So
my sister blows me away because I think her superpower would be she's never met a single person that she ever thought that she didn't like, you know what I mean? Like, she couldn't they could be the most evil person on the planet, and she would find some way to just be joyful about them and around them.
yeah,
Uh,
that's right.
and
That's
very
right.
recently, I learned that she can sing. I never knew this growing up. I was like, "Why didn't I get that?" Sing a
That makes me mad too because I want to sing and I can't.
Yeah, you don't want me anywhere near a tune, trust me. I can
That's
say
cool. That's very cool.
So, what about for you? Is there a favorite moment that you love or that you're excited for readers to sort of experience?
There's one line that I really, when I wrote it, I mean, there's a few lines I sat back and was like, that's pretty damn good. But there's one line and it happens with Dan, and he's woken up from a dream where he's been talking to his grandmother. And, it's pretty heavy what he's planning on doing. And he says, and then he realized something that all the Dr. Westbrooks in the world would never understand, could and would never get. And that was that nothing ever would or could uh, defeat love. And
Oh,
that just, like blew me. I was like, huh, when I wrote it, I just went, that's right.
I dare hat. That's awesome.
I couldn't believe it.
I think that is absolutely fantastic. I do have another favorite moment, and I'm not going to say what it is. I'm just going to say this, and I think you'll know. Um,
Okay.
Happy birthday, Nadine. Oh my God, that was probably my absolute favorite. I mean, it just like Love, 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 love.
I love Nadine. I was just like, after skirting around it for a while, I just went, well, it's time for Nadine to come to the party. No fun intended.
I will tell you, Nadine was my absolute favorite character above them all. Like I said, I find these like characters that don't show up very often, but they're so great, right?
Yeah,
She's
she's no bullshit. I love Nadine. She's just like, boom, there it is. Go highway.
this is absolutely fantastic. Uh,
That's so cool.
yeah, I was talking to Dean Koontz about his latest book a few weeks back, and it was the same thing with him. His main, what like one of his like third tier characters, she was awful, and I was like, she's my absolute favorite, and we he was like, mine too, and we just kind of we I think
Yeah, I love Nadine. I love Nadine. I was like, use her sparingly, but bring her
she was fantastic. So happy
in.
birthday to her.
But by the way, today's my birthday.
Absolutely loved it. So
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
well, Allie, the book The Light Runner is available now. Do you want to tell everybody where they can find it?
You can find it pretty much anywhere, but it's on Amazon and it's on Barnes and Noble, Walmart, and just go to Amazon. You'll be able to get it really quickly. And I hope you like it.
I hope you love it as much as we did. And when you get to Nadine's birthday, give us a sack.
You'll know what we're talking about.
So, Allie, how can our audience find you online?
So if you go to my social media pages, I'm Allie Walker 1 on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Or X, whatever it's called now. And I am Allie Walker Official on TikTok.
Great.
And
That's fantastic. I will include all of those in the video version and the show notes as well. And once this is edited and up and out, I'll get you tagged as well in all of it. So
thank you.
thank you so much. It's been awesome talking to you again. So
Really nice talking to you. You're a doll. I really appreciate the support. It's really cool to find people willing to support, first time authors and things like that. It's tough.
well, it makes it easy when it's really great. So I will
That's
say that.
I'm really glad you liked it. I was like, I hope he likes it.
I really, really did. So, all right, you guys, that's it for this week. We will see you next week on Quills and Chills.
Thank you.